everyone, welcome back to PommyInOz. If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe. You can become a member of the channel like these legends did in the comments. You can do that with the join button, and there's also a join link in the description. They allow us to do things like sponsor Domaku and things like that. You can also support the channel by buying merch. PommySportsAlmanac.com.au. We've got prints, we've got all sorts, but we've also got the shirts, which I'm looking forward to revealing to you in a later video. So thank you very much for that. We are nearly at 2,000 as well, which is absolutely grouse. So we tried to do that. It was a huge target. We're well over 1,900 now. So please support the channel out in any way you can, just by hitting that subscribe button. So what we're doing today is we're going to talk about the Carlton game, the practice match. We've got Melbourne Football Club, the reigning premiers, and didn't they kick off their practice with a very one-sided affair? They absolutely destroyed poor North Melbourne, and it was a fearsome display, wasn't it? They have really have shown they have no hangover from last year's flag, and if anything, I think they've added to what they did last year, just in the terms of game style and confidence. They were really fearsome. They really did put on a number. They were tough around the ball, and what is really scary about Melbourne is their skill set is the antichrist of Carlton's lack of skill set. They attack the corridor in numbers. It's quick. It's progressive. They love transition scoring. They're really tough tackling, particularly in forward 50. They're good around stoppages. It's a real benchmarker. And what I want to take out of this game isn't so much the result. For me, what I'm looking at is St Kilda. They're one of them sides that are going to be somewhere between, 13th and 8th. We have to beat them sides to make the 8. I want to know how far we are from the top of the mountain. And these guys have got their flag up there on the top of Mount AFL, and they're looking down. And I want to know, because we've got 22 rounds till we play them again, how far away are we from the best? Because this side, already in pre-season, look like they're ready. They're ready to kill. Now, let's look at some things in detail with that. Let's have a look. So here you are, Pommy with his matter of stats. And what we've got here is we've got what's called a pass chart. So this is possession chart. So what you'll see is where the ball is, yellow ring. And then you've got red, blue, pale blue, whatever colour that is, and pink. And obviously this is the amount of times where the passing map shows where they go. And as you can see straight away, a lot of red down the left-hand side. They really enjoy attacking that left wing or the corridor. The right wing is kind of not as used as much. But what you'll see as well is very interesting enough, the amount of times they switch. They enjoy a switch to set up play, to set up traffic. They're not afraid to go backwards or sideways. And once they find that loop and that hole in your defensive set, they attack it hard. It's really important to know from watching the North Melbourne game, players like Sparrow and Ed Langdon are really deadly with their zip, their pace, and their ability to turn defence into attack very quickly. We're going to pick on two players who really do stand out from last week and some things to worry about. But I think the main thing with Melbourne, what they do really well, is good tactics, good structure. They move your system. It's very hard to chase shadows, and what Melbourne do very well is get you working to stop their run, and that's what they do, and they're very talented at doing that. If you watch how they move their ball, it's very articulate, it's very smart, it's very clever, it moves, it's almost like a game of cat and mouse with them, and they showed it in the final as well, that this game style as well copes with pressure. And what it does is it soaks up pressure and then makes you suddenly have to defend really hard. Suddenly they spread the play, they stretch you. A real good note as well is how Ben Brown operates in that forward line. He's so dangerous that he also works a lot of dummy runs. And what you'll find out, particularly with that kick just outside 50, as you can see on the map, on the left-hand side, is he actually runs back forwards as Mcdonald runs backwards, and it creates a separation. You see that in their forward line as well. They have a lot of intercepting runs in that forward line. It's a very hard and very disciplined forward structure when they're in a marking contest. They do isolate their forwards and they do work together in a wonderful false lead pattern, which means you've got to be on the ball, and that's something that Ben Brown really got a lot from. Him and Mcdonald work so well there. So that is going to be a real big test, because also when the ball hits the deck, they're very proficient at keeping it in there. One of the top tackling sides in side 50, one of the top tackling sides that results in turnover from inside 50. You will find when you see them with the ball, they seem to have 4 runners to either side. They really do attack in numbers. It's kind of like the old school Hawthorn side that really are looking for that fall of the ball. So if the mark isn't pinged, you're still not out of trouble. They're looking to lock you in. Particularly with Gawn tries to oscillate just outside 50, kind of as like a backstop almost, looking to intercept any defensive pressure that's relieved from a kick outside of D50. Your one hope here is to run it out and break their line. Deep forward press, they really do keep you locked in there. And that's where you'll be looking at Sard, you'll be looking at Williams to really take the game on. So high risk, but it has a high reward if you do that. If you get into the pattern of kicking back to them, this side hurt you with the ball, and they work so hard ahead of the ball and behind the ball. They're a side that works really hard. What about personnel then? Well, that's a good question. The personnel here at Melbourne is very strong. And one guy we're going to pick on is a guy who was phenomenal at the week just gone. And that is Clayton Oliver. And as you can see in his heat map, this guy is everywhere. 40 touches, 6 marks, 5 tackles and the goal. And one thing that really stood out about Clayton Oliver is his ability to take the game on. And it's something that really was noticeable. Now, whether that was because North Melbourne aren't really that strong, or was it because that is an impetus from him and he was looking to get the game going. There was a few breakouts through the corridor where he just took off. And that is kind of not Clayton Oliver of 2021. He's not really known for that. And it's kind of some of the criticisms that you've had in the press. But he was looking to really take the game on. And he was a real handful. And he linked up so well with Track, with Neil Bullen, with Gawn. And he's going to be a deadly little guy. And as you can see, he really makes himself available. He is really one of the kind of guys that is in every passage of play. And he works so hard. He's got an incredible engine. He's incredibly strong. He does the simple things well as well. And what you notice about him is he's very unusual in the position that he plays. A lot of these players, when you cover them, they have a set pattern of ball movement. So if you look at someone like Tom Mitchell, he likes that little that sideways kick. He likes to retain the possession. He has a few, as they say, nothing handballs. Clayton Oliver, he mixes it up. Sometimes it can be a big penetrating 30-metre kick inside 50. Sometimes it can be a 1-2. But he's always looking for the ball. And he's a guy that really can change the game. He's a real phenomenal player. And for me, I think he's one of the best players in the AFL. He would definitely be in my top 5. I don't think he gets enough kudos. And I think nowadays, with the modern day style of football, people are looking for goal-kicking mids. And it does irk me because this guy brings things that a lot of midfielders don't. He is the total package. And he's a phenomenal player. And if he adds that injection, which he does seem to have, that real attacking impetus, look out. Because this guy would be a foregone conclusion for the Brownlow. There's a few players there, though. And we're going to pick on another one. PeterV as well was really good. Tom Sparrow stood out. Ed Langdon, as we've talked about. Neil Bullen always is in and around it. Keziah Pickett as well. Full pre-season from him was a real handful. But there is another guy I want to talk about for me who is really the ace up the sleeve and probably the total player and a guy that has really added a lot of facets. And that is none other than Kiwi legend Maxi Gawn. And it's hard not to love Max Gawn, isn't it? Because he is such a lovely fella. But tell you what, he doesn't play lovely and he's not nice to watch if he's against you. As you can see from his heat map, this guy is, I think he's so integral to how Melbourne play. And it's not just from his hit-out dominance and his dominance around the ground. It's his ability to be that fallback guy. And you see he slots into the heat zones where defences and where teams genuinely try and relieve a bit of pressure. And he is incredibly smart at it. So you can see a few of these marks in the hot zones where teams relieve pressure when they're under the caution, the forward 50, in the defensive 50. And this is what he does. He seems to be everywhere, and he's always behind the ball. He's always in them problem places. And what's more so is his ability to push ruckman around the ground. He's a real handful with his engine. He really drags them out of position. Suddenly, the ruckman is in the position you don't want them to be. And you want them to be an outlet. He's forcing you to be in that hot zone, knowing that he's got the skills. Very few weaknesses in this guy's game. And one thing that has improved is his ability to set shot. His set shots and his ability to get there. That is a huge improvement in his game. He's very reliable in the air, very strong around the ground and below his feet. He's the total package. And he leads by example. This guy is a guy that if you want to beat Melbourne, you have to find a way to contain him. If you don't, this guy can really drag you out. And his big part of his game is discipline. He plays into that fear. He plays into that pressure that they bring. And teams invariably who aren't well drilled will fall for the trap. He's a phenomenal, phenomenal footballer. And someone that I'll be watching to see how PeterV goes. So what are we looking for then? What we're looking for is, I'm looking for how do they match up? How do they hold on? I want to be able to make Melbourne go through the gears. I think Melbourne will be looking at a win here, and I refuse to believe that they're going to go through the motions. I think last week showed they've got that ruthless mentality. They want to train as they play, and they want to really build on that. I'm looking for Carlton to really look 22 rounds and give yourself a 30-point net. We've got to improve by 30 points from Thursday to round 22 and see how it goes. It's going to take a while for Voss's game to really be lit. Genuinely, if you take soccer as a model who play twice as much as AFL footballers, usually looking at a month to 2 months. So that's probably round 6 to round 8, I'd say. You'll see a real continuity in the game plan and the system. But I want to see how the system matches up. I want to see Melbourne really be pushed. I want to see them have to go through that gears. Don't want to see cruise control from them. And that is something that Carlton have got to do. The one thing I'm looking forward to is this pressure brand. Melbourne traditionally don't like that physicality. When the game gets physical and it gets a bit rough, that's where their game plan kind of doesn't come unstuck, but they have to go through them gears. If you really can keep the pressure up, it's a matter of keeping it up 4 quarters. You know doggies are a superior side in physicality and skill set, but even that gets told. This game plan that Melbourne have is strong at resisting pressure. It's built for that. And it's good at implementing its own pressure. So we're looking really for how do Carlton cope with that pressure and how do they reapply it? How do they stand up? Because this side can kick 3 or 4 goals, and they did it multiple times in the North game in a matter of minutes. They can turn the game. And that is going to be a real test of character and a test of Voss's leadership as he got inside these players' heads. Can they trust themselves, one, but can they trust each other? Is more important, and that is what I'm looking for this game. It's a real big ask. This is the top of the mountain. We're halfway up the ladder. We need to get to the top. There's 12 rungs to go. These guys are holding on to that rung and they're looking down, and how many rungs do we have to go? Really excited about that matchup. I'm excited about seeing how George Hewitt, how he handles Oliver, how does he handle Petrarca, how does Chera turn the game on. There's a lot of games, particularly Lockie O'Brien will be a guy I'm watching, because he's going to get a lot of traffic through his wing. And this is where you're going to be looking at how does he handle it defensively. Because good wings find a way. And good wings have protection behind them. Who's behind him? Who's protecting him? He's going to get a lot of traffic through there. They enjoy that flank where he is. So I'm going to be really entertained in this game. There's a lot of questions I've got. I'm looking forward to the answers. Let me know in the comments what you're looking for. We'll have a chat. I'll see you Thursday. I'm doing the watch along. I can't wait to welcome you all and have a bit of fun with you and do some live analysis with you. Till next time, Pommy out.